Jeff Clavier has invested in over 70 internet startups. He is recognized by Business Week this year as among the top 25 angel investors. In his prior life, he was an entrepreneur, a VC, an angel, and now people refer to him as Super Angel. It's a pleasure to welcome Jeff.
Thank you so much for having me.
Jeff, a lot of excitement about what you talked today, and you have been, should I say, knighted as the Super Angel. Want to ask you, first of all, in your own domain, where are people investing and where are you investing?
So, consumer internet has become a really active investment space over the past 6 years. That's where I started, when I started to invest in this new generation of companies dealing with the consumer. Participation was sort of the main theme. And I would say it's been gradually increasing, and now we see everyone from the angels, the seed funds, the traditional funds, and even the buyout funds trying to invest in startups. Whether geolocation, social media, commerce. Essentially, the world has gone social. There are new platforms, Facebook, the iPhone, that give us an opportunity to almost rebuild the entire web in terms of services, in terms of applications. And so there's a tremendous opportunity to say, well, whatever worked in Web 1.0, let's give it a try in the social environment. And that's what people are trying to fund.
So when you come at the angel stage, what are you looking for in entrepreneurs?
So at the angel stage, so at my level, because really the concept of super angel just means that we invest in larger seed rounds and always putting together a team of investors around the company. It's a bit like your Ocean's 11, team, and you try and buzz the bank or the casino. So we try and get all the right profiles of investors around the company. So we'll typically invest in a team that has a couple of founders, 3 founders, 2 technical, 1 business, designer, marketing, so they're very complementary. People who have put a product together, typically alpha stage, and have identified the beginnings of a market opportunity. And I really sort of look at it as the team, the product, the market in terms of order and importance. Angels, business angels, people who invest their own money, sometimes will come even earlier than us, investing just in the team and the PowerPoint, and give them the maybe a couple hundred Ks that gets them started, whereas we'll come in typically in the 500 to $1.5 million sort of range. And the way I sort of look at it is, the team is incomplete, the product has holes, and the market is sort of defined. And our role as the seed guys is to help the company get from that initial, milestone to having a team which is fully, I would say, put together, a product which is in the market, which has validated, with customers, with traction, potentially a business model, in a market which is really defined, so that the guys coming after us, the Series A guys, the traditional VCs, can do their, $3 to $5 million investment.
For those guys who are still struggling to make their choice, and there are a lot of those around to make the switch from having a product or a service, who have been professional all these years, and want to make a jump, and obviously funding is a pain point for them, right? So what would you advise them before they get any sort of big validation in the market? So
network your way into your funding, into your validation is sort of one of the big advice, which is, I sort of mentioned that on the panel I was sitting on today. There are different constituencies who can help you get the validation, get the funding, access to customers, attract employees. And your best way to try and have access to those is to ask amongst your friends, your business colleagues, your schoolmates, people you might know in the VC world, to give you feedback about all those aspects, and then help you get a better feel as to whether you should go talk to, some angels, some super angels, some VCs, and then triangulate as to where the best source of input, feedback, financing will actually end up being for you.
So when you personally look at a portfolio of a company that come to you, what do you look at, if I may ask you, 3 attributes that you look at before you invest?
that 3 is tough because it's always...
You can pick any number, I suppose.
I think that the image which I'd like to share is think about this big scale where each and every of the components of the company, the experience of the founders, what they've done, in the past in terms of, have they been entrepreneurs, have they been, working, for a long time, have they just come out of school, the passion that they have, the relevance that they have, what is the personal attraction to the space they're trying to build a company in? Is that because they see a personal, emotional need to build this thing, was the sort of, they thought about it like, for a long time, and they became convinced that this is actually an interesting market, but it's not coming from the heart. All those things you sort of put together as weights on the scale. You look at the product, if it's a good product, if it's like addictive, if it's well done, if it's something which is nice, which is appealing, if it's a market which you think is actually potentially compelling, all that is a weight on the scale. And at some point, as you add more weights, the scale will tilt, and then you will make a positive investment decision. And so it's very difficult for me to say there are 3 things that will sort of get me to invest. Obviously, I need to be impressed by the founders, by their passion, by how smart they are, how committed, how clear vision they have. But there's no prototypical founder, and there's no prototypical team. So, and I spend a lot of time with these guys, and if I decide to invest, we're going to be together for 5 to 7 years at least. And so I actually have to like these people. There has to be sort of a good rapport. So there's really sort of many different complex aspects to investment decision, and it's very difficult to sort of narrow it down to just a few factors.
But your domain is pretty vast, and people always like to ask, either you create something that's disruptive, or try to follow or join the bandwagon that is creating disruptive technologies. Where do you see technologies coming in, or if you can identify some of those?
So I haven't seen that many sort of disruptions, except in the platforms that were certainly that created massive opportunities. So I would say that Facebook, when they introduced F8, created a massive disruption in the marketplace, just because they became an enabler for the social world, right? Where never before had you been able to get that scale of distribution, in the past. Likewise, massive tectonic shift in the wireless world with the iPhone and the App Store, where suddenly you could essentially deploy millions and millions and millions of applications without a single carrier being involved. And we've never seen that. So the shift didn't come from the startups, it came from the platform companies, and companies just jumped to sort of take advantage of those extremely quickly. And now we have like billions of applications which have been downloaded. So what has happened over the past few years is really sort of the emergence of 2 or 3 brand new platforms that startups were able to feed off of in sort of an unprecedented way. And distribution in 2010 is completely different, has radically changed from it was, when it was like 2005 or 2000.
Jeff, thank you so much. Appreciate the time.
Thanks for having me.